You're listening to Nice-ish, a podcast about reality TV and your opinions, with your hosts, Cindy and Grace. Welcome to episode 27 of Nice-ish. I'm here with my co-host, Grace. Hi, Grace.
Hi.
So I wanted to talk briefly about a social media move that we made. We've decided to make the move over to Blue Sky from Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't made the complete move yet on my Love Cindy C account. We did move our Nice-ish podcast account over there, and I did deactivate that on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
There was a whole change of service that happened on Friday where Twitter is now allowed to use any of your content as their own.
Yeah, and we're not cool with that.
Like anything. It doesn't even have to be podcast related. It's literally any tweets, any posts, any pictures, whatever they want, they own it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not something we're comfortable with. There's a lot of other reasons that we're not going to get into, but that is one of them. So for those of you that follow me on Love Cindy C, I'm going to keep it for a little while, but it is not permanent. I will eventually nuke it. And it's kind of a hard thing to do. I've had that account for 11 years.
I know. Been on there a long time.
And I've made a lot of really great friends. I've had a lot of great follows. Andy Cohen follows me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's hard when you cultivate an account to just let it go. But I think principle overrides everything else.
Yeah, and just gotta start new. Gotta start over on a different platform.
Yeah.
What did you actually call it that people were people were leaving in droves. They're leaving to go to Blue Sky. But what did you specifically call it?
I had said to you, it's the Exodus.
God.
Which I've actually seen now. So even though I had not heard that anywhere, it's kind of all over the place. So I can't claim it.
Okay. Because I literally thought, I'm like, wow, that is brilliant. Like, what a play on words. It's,
you know? And you said to me, did you think of that? And I'm like, yes, I did. I had not seen it anywhere. But by the time I had gotten to Twitter, it was everywhere. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I can't claim that I own it. But you know what? I really like Blue Sky.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding the VoIP really nice, very lovely. I'm recognizing a lot of great people. And so it's a move I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, good.
So everybody who's listening, follow us over there. Give it a chance. It's created by Jack, who created Twitter, so you'll see a lot of similarities. So anyone thinking of making that move, I'm under the same name, Love Cindy C. And we also have our Nice-ish podcast there as well. So join us. It's a lot of fun. So hope to see you guys there. So in Bravo News this week, it came out that Teddi Mellencamp was having a months-long affair with her married horse trainer.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. His name is Simon Schroeder. And it led to her split and filing for divorce from her husband, Edwin. A source told thedailymail.com that Teddi and Simon had a months-long love affair behind their spouses' backs. Making matters worse, the pair were together in Florida while Schroeder's pregnant wife, Carly, was giving birth to their second child in California.
You pieces of shit.
Yeah. That he felt comfortable leaving her, knowing that she could give birth at any moment. And Teddi felt comfortable
enough
taking him somewhere. Yeah. You know, I used to say she was meh, but she's not even that.
Yeah, she's worse than meh.
Yeah.
She's horrible.
Ugh. And I didn't get the hate. I really didn't.
Yeah, I know.
I thought it mostly came from Vanderpump fans and all that, but I didn't care one way or the other because I didn't think she was a great housewife or anything.
No.
But I just didn't partake in the bashing because I just didn't care. But hey, bash away. So it says Carly thought it was suspicious that her husband was in Florida while she was giving birth, the source told thedailymail.com. When Simon returned, Carly found text messages on Simon's phone that exposed the affair. She confronted Simon and Teddi about it, and they confessed, and Teddi promised it would not happen again. Carly didn't tell Edwin she found out. This is key to me. So he didn't know, and Teddi didn't even tell him. That is just waiting to blow up in your face.
Yeah, I know. And then does that, as Edwin, do you feel like an idiot? Like the fact that everybody knew but you know?
Unbelievable. So she was willing to give Simon another chance and stayed with him. But last month, Carly found proof that the affair was ongoing and that it had become emotional. Simon had a history of cheating, and Carly was tired of being connected to him. Edwin only learned of the affair late last month when Carly told him. So
Wow.
Good, she did tell him.
Yeah, I'm glad that she eventually did, because honestly, at first I was like, wow, she's a better woman than I would be, because it's basically like, Teddi, let you tell your husband, not me.
Right.
And she was like, fuck Teddi, I'm going to tell him.
Exactly. We need that on a bumper sticker. So the article continues that the source claims Teddi decided to file for divorce once she got caught in the affair. So this was everywhere, and Teddi really kind of had no choice but to make a statement, since her podcast with Tamra is pretty much talking shit about every Real Housewife that there is and their lives.
Right.
And now hers just blew up in her face. So what are you going to do? Ignore it?
Yeah.
So on her podcast, Teddi said that she won't confirm or deny the allegations, but that multiple people are involved and the kids are the priority. So what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, I love when people say we can't confirm or deny that. You're basically confirming.
Right.
Otherwise, you would deny. If it wasn't true, you're going to be like, oh my God, no, that didn't happen. You would, of course, deny that because it's a pretty awful thing.
Yeah.
So when you say that you can't confirm or deny, it's like, okay, you're confirming it then.
Right. You're confirming your garbage.
Right.
And there were rumors that Edwin had cheated on her before.
Oh. Okay.
Years ago. I think you had said 8 years ago or something.
I had seen something like that.
Now,
Yeah,
I don't know if that's true at all, but I did see some comments about that saying, look, if he cheated, as horrible as that is, she made the decision to continue their marriage. And so if you're moving on, then you need to forgive and forget. And so that's not a license to cheat in the future.
I understand that point. The fact that Teddi's the one that filed for divorce is interesting to me, because had it been Edwin, I actually would have been like, it's a little hypocritical, buddy. I mean, you cheated on her.
If he cheated.
Yes.
We don't know.
If he had, then it would have been like, well, she took you back, but you can't take her back.
Right.
So, but the fact that I'm shocked that she's the one that filed then.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Eventually she's going to have to come clean, or somebody will get the story, put it out there, and then she's going to have to talk about it one way or the other. But I love how it's all of a sudden they're worried about their children.
I know, right? You weren't worried about the kid in
the womb?
Yeah. You weren't worried about that kid. You were in Florida having a good old time.
I know. Ugh, gross. So before we get started on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, just let me say, the moment we found out about Aaron and Rebecca planning a fake story on Roni about Rebecca's marriage and getting pregnant by another guy, and that her and her husband have an open marriage, all of which was fake, we said we're out. So neither of us are interested in covering this fabricated junk anymore.
I would agree. I'm out. I don't want it. I don't want to watch it. I didn't even want to watch it from the beginning, but I understand why we were going to, because I get other people could be interested.
Right.
But I think people are just dropping out as well, like we are.
Yes.
And with Beverly Hills starting on Tuesdays now too.
Yep.
We're just going to replace it
exactly.
with that.
So this is it. This is the last we're talking about it. Possibly covering the reunion. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm going to continue to watch it on my own.
Yeah.
Probably not. So, sayonara, bitches.
God, it's so bad.
Yeah. All right. We're good with that.
Are you sure you don't want to bitch more?
No, I don't. We've done it the last 4 podcasts. Let's move on.
Okay.
So, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. We have an uncomfortable, but I think really valuable scene with Mary and her son Robert and his wife. She goes into his room to ask him about his behavior and how he's doing, and there's food and trash everywhere.
Yeah.
The two are in bed. Neither bother to get out of bed. In fact, his wife just keeps eating in bed in front of Mary. The whole thing's weird. But it's pretty obvious that Robert has some sort of addiction issue. And Mary really seems heartbroken.
Yeah. Because you can clearly tell that she knows something's going on. She just doesn't quite maybe know what specifically it is.
Mary being willing to expose this could help a lot of people, though, whether it's you watching or someone around you struggling with addiction. To see what's going on, it might kind of make you aware in your own life of somebody that might need help. Robert is her whole world, and it's very obvious. It's just really sad to watch.
It is. It is sad to watch. And I think, too, why this scene is good to see for other people. If you know somebody who's struggling with an addiction, check in on them, too, and let them know that, like, hey, I want you to be here. I want you to, so get better, that type of deal, because that's clearly what Mary's doing for Robert as well. And I don't know.
Well, I do have an update because I looked it up after seeing a lot of comments that he actually went to rehab.
Oh.
So Mary gave an interview October 9th to Entertainment Tonight that fills us in a little bit about how Robert's doing. After testing positive for cocaine, fentanyl, and marijuana last year.
Is it? Wow.
Yeah, it was serious.
Okay.
Robert Jr. entered rehab over the summer, but today Mary says he's doing good. He's taking it day by day, she shared, confirming that he still lives with her and Robert Sr. Mary also revealed that Robert Jr. is not legally married, thank God. That was in quotes.
Oh my God.
Although his wife, Alexiana, is still in the picture. Unfortunately, Mary fumed. I just think that they're toxic. They create toxicity when they're together, and it's not a good mix. And I feel like the more I put into that and the more I push it, the more he's going to gravitate to her. So I just need to back off and just let him figure it out himself. And he's figuring it out. He sees it. So now we're going to jump into the main part of the episode, which is the Palm Springs trip. Last week's episode ended in that cliffhanger, and we didn't know if Lisa or John were going to be kicked off the trip.
Right.
Well, that didn't happen, thank God. So the group all have this big lunch with their spouses, and it went off the rails pretty fast. Lisa was attempting to talk to Bronwyn about their issues, and Bronwyn was hoping for an apology when Lisa made it more about her issues with Whitney and drags Whitney's husband Justin into it again.
Bronwyn wants to talk to you, and now you're going over to Whitney. Like, why? What she's bothering me.
And why can't the women just leave the men out of it?
That's also it, too.
Like,
That's
why
really
are you
annoying.
addressing Justin at all?
I don't know.
So then we get a confessional with John. Ugh, this was terrible. Because he's saying all Lisa has to do is breathe and she gets blamed for things. Really, John? Really? Are you sitting there at this table?
I don't know. She's really honestly the source of the problem. Like, literally.
Yes.
If you were to remove her, I think there would be, like, half of the issues would go away.
And I'm not saying that I want her removed.
Yeah, I know. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that I want her removed.
Let's
I'm saying that
let's not be hasty.
Yeah, I'm just saying if you did, half the problems would go away.
Right.
That is not meaning that I'm advocating for that, though.
No, I want her and her problematic self on the show.
Yes.
But I would also like to be able to bitch about her.
Mm-hmm.
So John steps in and tells Whitney that Lisa never lied and asks her if she ever lied about Lisa, to which Whitney says no. So John's like, okay, Lisa's never lied. You've never lied. Problem solved.
God. What a stupid way to handle this. That's so dumb. I mean, I will actually be honest, though. Whitney should know better than to trust just a blogger who watches the show. They're not your friends. So.
Right. So this snowballs into Angie's husband, Sean, speaking up about Lisa, calling his wife a fucking bitch. And Lisa wants to know why Sean is talking to her. Hello?
I can't.
Because you just engaged the men to get involved.
Yeah.
I swear, she never takes accountability for anything.
Not at all.
Her husband can talk.
Yeah.
She talks to Justin. But then when Sean wants to say, you attacked my wife, I've seen the text messages. She's like, why are you talking to me? I agree. The men shouldn't be involved in this.
Yeah, I don't like when the men are.
But you brought them in.
Yeah, and you can't just
You
decide.
can't have it both ways.
Yeah, you can't just decide all of a sudden that you want to talk to the men, but they can't talk to you.
Right.
It just doesn't work. You're too big of a problem.
So Seth breaks the tension by asking this stupidly gross question about asparagus.
He's so annoying.
Oh,
he is driving me crazy.
But he tells everyone, let's go play beach volleyball. And it breaks up the tension a little bit and the lunch. So that part's done.
Good for something, I guess.
We have this beach volleyball scene based off the movie Top Gun, but we're going to skip over it because it was dumb and go straight to the group dinner. And I also want to mention, as everyone's getting ready, that Todd gave Bronwyn a $4 million diamond necklace for their anniversary.
4 million.
4 million on jewelry.
That's insane. That is...
I could live off that for the rest of my life.
For real, though. I mean, that is an insane amount to pay. I mean, Lisa's stupid rings were like, what? You know?
Who knows?
I mean, she lost those. John would never buy her anything
it was
that
like
expensive.
$65,000 or something, I think. But
not even close to this $4 million necklace.
$4 million. It's so wasteful, isn't it? I don't know. I guess if you have it to spare, then, you know. So the dinner starts off with a game from Angie, similar to the Newlywed Game, where everyone has to answer some shady questions. It does, however, get the ball rolling for Justin to admit that his reaction to Lisa was probably stronger than he wished it would have been. And he apologizes. And Whitney's face when he apologizes was truly shocked. So that was not planned. She did not see that coming.
No. They did not talk about it beforehand. As a matter of fact, they actually probably talked. If they did talk about it, it was, I'm not apologizing. And then it just came out.
Yeah. So I liked that. And then Lisa says, I'm sorry for putting you in that position.
There you go. See?
Yes. Some progress here. I think both were owed apologies.
Yes.
And I think this is kind of how you need to handle things.
Right.
One person has to be the bigger person and just say sorry. And Justin was that person.
Yeah, I think it was good.
That prompts Meredith to bring up her issue with Angie's husband, Sean.
Yeah, she felt so inspired by that, you know, that discussion or that conversation and thought she would get that in return. And that did not happen.
Yeah, spoiler alert. So Meredith said that she thinks Sean spoke poorly about her and her son Brooks on a podcast, saying that she used his sexuality to deflect from her own poor behavior. And just to remind you what Sean's talking about, last season, he feels that Meredith started the rumor that he was gay. And he was heartbroken over that. Not that people would think he's gay, but that he cheats on his wife.
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of a big deal for him.
It was.
He didn't want her in his home. He didn't want any of that. And so I think Meredith thought that she would get the same outcome that Lisa and Justin had, 2 apologies. But Sean starts out saying one of his biggest pet peeves is someone bringing back up an issue that he thought was settled and cleared up. Not starting off well.
No, not good.
He said he walked away from their previous conversation about this thinking it was settled and that they were good. And Meredith said, well, that's not the case, that she apologized for something that she didn't even do and would like one from him. She was still hurt by it. Sean says he can't give her an authentic apology because he doesn't even remember using Brooks's name. So, not going well.
No, not going well. Honestly, I would just apologize. Just
I wish Sean had.
Because that's honestly what she wants. She's asking for it, like, purposefully wanting one. And I don't care if you defend yourself. Like, that's fine. If you feel like you want to explain what happened, then you don't just have to give some, like, okay, I'm sorry, and that's it. Because that doesn't mean anything. But if you want to, like, defend yourself a little bit, explain, and then be like, but I see that you're hurt, I'm sorry. That's it.
Yes. I don't remember saying that. I would be disappointed in myself if I spoke about your child. Because I would never want someone to do that to mine.
Just give her one.
You're hurt. You're hurt by something I said. I'm sorry.
Right.
And they would be good, I think.
Yeah.
But he literally says he's going to double down.
No, why? Like,
I know.
Just why? You know?
Come on.
This is why the men are so annoying. Like, on this type of trip. We don't need the men involved. I do not want another, like, Jersey deal where the men start becoming part of the cast.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a little bit here. You're jumping the gun, girl.
I'm sorry.
Just like I jumped the gun on your segment.
See? God. You didn't read.
Whitney asks for proof of what Sean said, since Sean is denying it. And Seth, in an incredibly insulting way, I'm going to say, pulls up the article on his phone, shows it to Whitney, and yells, "Proof, biatch."
God. Why?
What are your thoughts on that?
I thought it was incredibly rude. I cannot believe that Whitney or Justin did not say anything.
Launch themselves out of their seats?
Like, literally.
Yes. Because it's interesting that Justin had a problem with Lisa calling his wife a liar, but Seth's calling your wife a biatch.
I know.
And he just sat there.
Right. Not cool. And then Meredith, too. I'm shocked that Meredith was fine. Like, well, you asked for proof. You did this or that.
Yeah.
No, I actually honestly think what Whitney was doing is being like, listen, you're saying that you have proof and that this happened. He's saying he doesn't remember. Bring it out now.
Yes.
If you have it, you should, because you should just get it out there.
Show us your receipts.
I don't think she was poking at her in any way, and I think they took it that way.
It could have been a little bit of both.
Maybe. I don't know.
Show your proof then. That's all. So that everybody knows. What did he say? Nobody here knew.
Including Sean.
Oh, my God. So it ends up going nowhere. You know, Sean doesn't apologize.
But he wants to be friends.
That was weird, too. And I swear it looked like Seth was like, I appreciate that. I think he said, I appreciate that under his breath. Too. So I'm like, you know what? Men aren't usually fighters like this. They don't want to deal with this. So he's just like, can we just go play beach volleyball?
Oh my God. So funny. Yeah, it doesn't work at night, buddy. You know, you can't use that excuse twice.
So in order to change the subject, Angie brings up what she thinks is a happier subject.
Oh my God, this was
Gwen
so funny.
Reconnecting with her grandparents. So she asks Bronwyn and Todd about it, and this clearly agitates Todd.
Oh my God.
And he shuts it down immediately, embarrassing Bronwyn in the process.
I don't know who gave Angie the green light to be like, hey, let's talk about Gwen. I have no idea where she got that from, why she thought that would be the topic. Like,
I don't know.
I don't know if she was just happened to be looking at Bronwyn and then that's what popped into her head at first. But it was literally the worst possible thing you could have said. You could have said anything else in that moment.
Well, clearly she knew nothing. They weren't discussing it, so she thought it was a positive. It was a very big negative.
The look on her face cracked me up. Like, she was like, oh.
Yeah,
like,
I stepped in it.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was so funny.
So I think Todd thinks he's defending and protecting Bronwyn, but it really turns dismissive and embarrassing.
Yeah.
And I think he really needs to self-reflect. I understand all of the excuses that I'm hearing, because I think I felt that in the beginning, that, you know, he's a CEO, he's worth like, God, 45 million or something. He runs multiple companies, so he doesn't have time for bullshit. In fact, last episode, I think that was one of my tweets. He doesn't have time for bullshit, you know?
Right.
This felt different to me. I didn't like it, and I'm allowed to change my mind.
Yeah.
And it's starting to change on Todd a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if it has to do with his age or if it's just how he deals in his business life is how he deals in his personal life.
Yeah. I don't know. It could be. I don't think that he's a fan of these group of women in general, or the men really either. So I'm not sure if it's just like, well, if I don't want to talk, then I'm not going to talk to you. And what was supposed to be an anniversary trip for me and my wife now have all you clowns here too. So I don't know if he's just over it completely.
Oh, he's definitely over it.
Actually, yes, I do know if he's over it. He definitely is.
And he said in his confessional he's never doing it again.
Right.
Which is for the best.
I think so. I think it's for the best as well.
So I tweeted out a picture of Angie holding her scroll and said, I got 20 reasons why no more men on cast trips. And we got a reply from Salva Cam at Blue Sky, who said, I think this should be the last season they do couples trips. The men are making this trip so uncomfortable and cringe to watch.
God, I have a problem with like every single one.
Yes, let's not blame it all on Todd.
Yeah.
Because all of these men have been problematic here.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be interacting with the women like this, because this is what happens. Even if I felt like Lisa started the shit with Justin, I didn't love that he yelled at her. I get it.
Yeah.
He's human.
Right.
He had an emotional reaction to her talking shit about his wife, and she came up to him. So yes, I understand it, but I didn't love it.
Right. It just makes things so much harder to get over when you start involving the husbands.
Yes.
Because then you might be fine as the women, but sometimes the men aren't then after. Or the men might be fine with the other men, but they're not fine with the other women. And it just creates not a great dynamic.
Well, I think if you keep the men out of it, they can kind of be a buffer.
Yes.
And then later on be like, come on, Lisa, don't you want to get along here? Or come on, Whitney, don't you think you should believe what she's saying? Or, you know,
Right.
they can help facilitate some sort of bridge. So after that dinner, we jump to the next day. And after a group pick, Bronwyn tells everyone that she booked and paid for flights home for everyone. So they had a private jet on the way down that Bronwyn paid for. They had this $20,000 a night place to stay, which was multiple nights.
Yes.
And she's booking their flights home that she paid for. So keep that in mind, okay?
Sounds like a good deal to me.
You would think, wouldn't you? So there were only 4 seats available in first class. Bronwyn took them for her and Todd. And she didn't want to choose anyone else. So
Makes sense.
she booked everyone in coach with their spouses. She said it's a smaller plane and a 47-minute flight. So instead of a thank you, Lisa Barlow is pissed. She's saying she doesn't carry coach and doesn't fly coach, and she hasn't since college. And she's literally considering flying to LA so that she can fly first class on a different flight and then take another flight home.
That's I'm not loving this. This comes off so poorly on her. Like, I don't even, almost to the point where I don't necessarily think it's funny either. Like, I'm like, wow, the entitlement that you have. And sorry, but you were literally talking about how excited you were to see your kid, and you are going, because you don't want to fly coach, you're going to delay your trip and by what? How many hours? Maybe a day even? I don't even know. Just because you don't want to sit on a plane for 47 minutes in a different seat.
I gotta say, I think her husband, John, is very careful with his words to not embarrass her. But even now, he's kind of like, you can't sit in a chair and just close your eyes and suck it up. You can't do this. And she's like, no, I would rather fly to LA and be late. And he's like, well, I would not.
Right.
So
I think she specifically said Henry's fine.
Henry's fine. Yes, she did.
Like, oh my God. You wanted to see him so badly. He's fine. Oh my God.
I know. And so I think John's really trying to be like, Lisa, you're coming off like an ass. Can you work with me here?
Uh-huh.
And she couldn't.
No.
She couldn't deal with it. So they called looking for any flight that had first class available, comfort, whatever. And nothing was available. So I'm assuming they flew home in coach. And I had reposted a tweet from Rick Zampane. He's one of our favorites.
I know. We use him a lot.
Yeah, we do. So we got a post from Rick Zampane who said, I wish Lisa Barlow was doing a bit here, but she's dead serious. She truly would rearrange her itinerary and extend a trip just to avoid being seen in coach. Like so many, she's a great housewife and insufferable human.
Boom.
And it's really true.
Yes.
I gotta say, this whole trip with Lisa has been like over the top.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And while I don't think she looks good, she's such a focal point to this cast.
100%. Yes.
And so when I complain about her, it doesn't mean I want Lisa gone. I would never want Lisa gone.
I know. Who are we going to complain about?
I know. Plus, I go up and down with her.
Yeah,
she
I do
does
too.
have
Sometimes
really
she's
great
funny.
moments, but this was not pretty.
No. Yeah, it was a meltdown for sure. She just completely got unhinged and everybody saw it and it was not, again, not pretty, like you said. But yeah, she's absolutely an insufferable human though. And that's why we would like to watch her.
Right, never leave.
Never leave.
You be you, Lisa. So it ends with a sneak peek, not for the next episode, but we get the mid-season trailer for the rest of the season. And it looked good.
It does look good.
I mean, there were so many fights that I don't really know when they all happened. Like, I'm trying to see who was looking at who when they're screaming, but then one is screaming, and then when you get to the opposite side of the table or wherever they are, it's a different table. So they're not like...
It's not all connected.
Yes, it's not. It's edited very choppy so that we can't tell.
So cheeky.
You cheeky producers. But it looked great. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I know.
Lots going on.
Whitney talked to Monica.
Yeah.
About something.
And that did not go over well with Heather.
It did not. No, we haven't seen Heather in a little bit, like, because she hasn't been on this trip, which I'm fine with. But I would like to see how this plays out here, because I'd like a little bit, like we saw Lisa meltdown, I would like to see Heather meltdown.
And Meredith, no, should I call her Mar?
Mar.
And Mar has a huge meltdown. It was so funny. Sean didn't know how to spell Meredith, so we put M-A-R on the sheet. Oh, that was funny. But anyway, Mar has a huge meltdown, too.
Yeah.
I don't know who she's screaming at. Obviously, it's either Angie or Whitney.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know.
Could
or
be
Mary.
anybody.
Could be Mary.
Oh, right, because they're going to have an issue at some point here, too, which I don't know what it is. Do you happen to know what it is?
No, I don't know. They're all sitting at Mary's house, and she actually... Mary asks Mar to leave.
Mar to leave? Could you stop calling her that?
I have to. So, stay tuned.
Let's talk about this week's episode of Orange County, which was part 2 of the 3-part reunion.
Okay.
So we pick up with Emily and Jen discussing Ryan, and everyone except Shannon and Katie are worried or think that Jen is going to end up in a bad spot. and other women aren't fans of Ryan. Emily kind of points out how Katie's husband, Matt, basically went and hid at Jen and Ryan's engagement party because he's like, I don't want to be associated with the other Matt or anybody else.
I don't think Jen was aware of that.
Yeah.
It seemed to come as a bit of a surprise to her that he felt that way.
Mm-hmm. So I think Katie is honestly just being nice here and says that she's not worried about it anymore. I don't quite buy that. I think if her husband was that worried about it and that there's shady shit going on, he doesn't want to be involved at all. Mm-hmm. He's kind of like, I don't really care. The fact that there is even a mention of something going on, I don't want to be here if something goes down.
And I mean, she was dismissed from a lawsuit with her business and her business partner. Mm-hmm. Her business partner's still involved, but Katie was dismissed from that. But I think Matt is just like, stay away from any inkling of fraud.
For sure. I mean, I think she just probably didn't want to pile on because it seems like, you know, all the other women are.
And they're the closest, they seem.
Yeah, they do seem the closest. So, because Katie was like, well, we've talked about it and stuff like that. I'm like, well, yeah, you're going to believe. Well, I don't know how much you've talked about it because Jen doesn't seem to know. So,
I don't know anything.
Yeah, so, I don't know really how she convinced you.
Maybe you should talk to Emily.
Yeah.
Emily's acting like the prosecuting attorney, so.
No kidding, right? I think it's because all of these like legal things are coming up is why Emily's probably talking so much. Because I know that some people are kind of sick of her right now, which is fine. I'm not, but that's okay.
Right.
And I think it's because we got Shannon in her lawsuit. We had Katie's thing brought up last episode. And then we have Ryan now too. So it's kind of like, whose opinion do you want more than Emily's? Like, she's a lawyer. She would know about all that type of stuff. So, I don't know. Then Tamra says she got a cease and desist from Ryan. So she apologized for what she said on Watch What Happens Live and just kind of said that she misspoke. Do you think she misspoke? Or...
I do think she misspoke because, first, are you buying that her company is pulling in $16 million? Because she compared what was stolen from Shohei Ohtani, which was $16 million, to their CBD business, saying that they make more with that than what was stolen from him from his interpreter. Do you think they make $16 million?
I mean, if they do, then she doesn't need to do this show. I mean, unless that the shows provide her sales, but it's not like she talks about it that much anymore.
$16 million
That's a shit ton.
Yes, that is a shit ton. Yeah, if she pulls in $1 million, I would think that would be very profitable.
I mean, you know what? If you're making $16 million, leave the show. You don't need this.
No.
You don't need it. You don't need people talking about you. Just go then. That's
Salvage
fine.
your relationships, your friendships, all of that. And just live happily ever after in Big Bear.
Exactly. Salvage your historical friendships and keep everything intact. Speaking of the historical friend that I just said here too, I thought that was absolutely hilarious that Jen was like, just brought up the conversation with Heather and she asked if Tamra really was one of her good girlfriends. Would you consider her, you know, a good friend? Mm-hmm. And she says that Heather called Tamra a historical friend. First of all, would you be offended being called a historical friend? And do you actually think that Heather said that? Because I don't really know exactly what the context of being a historical friend is.
Well, I do believe Heather said it. I think Heather even confirmed that she said it.
No, she didn't. She said the opposite. She said, I don't talk like that. Which is funny because I actually do think that she would talk like that. That seems very, like, prissy thing to say, very elevated thing to say. Like, I don't know.
Would I be offended by that? Yes, I would. I think the point of that is kind of like your friendship is like grandfathered in and I have no choice but to be friends with you because we've been friends for so long. And I would like you to choose to be friends with me rather than have to be friends with me because we have a friendship that's dated back 10 years or whatever. I don't know. It didn't sound like a compliment.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, because Jen then in that same conversation says that Tamra goes lower than any of the rest of the women do. So I'm wondering if that's why Heather said that, if that kind of ties into the fact that it's easier to be friends with you than it is to not be.
Well, remember that season. Was it just last season where they went at Heather?
Yeah.
All season long? She knows what that feels like, and she hated it. She cried a lot.
Do you think it's a fair statement, though, that to say that Tamra goes lower than any of the other women?
I do think she goes lower. I think she can go after stuff that really hurts. And I see nothing wrong with petty fights here and there. I think they all say mean things. I do think commenting on Jen's price tag of her dress was mean. I do think it was mean. Heather wouldn't own up to the meanness. She kept saying it was gossipy. It was gossipy. But it was also mean. But am I okay with it being mean? Yeah. We're talking about a stupid price tag. So I don't have a problem with that kind of thing. I have a problem with shouting at someone, "You're a drunk."
I guess to that, I would say yes. I do think that Tamra probably is. My only thing, though, is that I think everybody on the cast is mean. I think you have to be mean to be on the show. You have to have a little bit of some fire in you that you are willing to do stuff like this.
Gina called Jen a squatter.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. There are lots of very, very mean comments. I mean, just in this season alone.
Yeah.
Not even, I mean, we could go back. We're not
Yes.
going to do that. But, so it's just kind of, I guess it's not of, are you a nice person or a mean person? It's more of who's more mean?
Right.
So, I don't know.
And whose side are you on?
Yeah. Yes.
That matters too.
Yes, it
Because
does
if
matter.
all of this was directed at Gina or Emily, most people wouldn't care. Even though I actually like both of them, most wouldn't care. But because it's directed at Shannon and Jen, people care.
Just to point out something specific, too, that I noticed in this episode was Emily had said that she had called Jen the Malibu broke Barbie. We knew that a little while ago. But they had posted a picture of Jen in a Malibu Barbie bathing suit. And Emily had said, yeah, that wasn't nice that I said that, but she got me back. She wore a cute bathing suit and posted it on Instagram. And I was like, oh, well, that's funny. And I feel like this stood out to me, too, because this is how I want the relationships with these women to be. Say something snarky or even a little mean, but you can say something or wear something and clap back, and it makes it fun. And Emily's like, I can take it.
Yeah.
When you have that type of relationship, this is what's fine and what's fun, dare I say. I don't know. But
Well, you can also move on from these
Yes.
type of fights.
yeah.
That's the difference with what Tamra's doing and what these women are doing, I think, for me anyway. Emily can make a comment like that. Jen can clap back, and then they can laugh about it, possibly laugh about it later. Or at bare minimum say, yeah, it was kind of mean, I'm sorry. And she'll say, yeah, it kind of hurt my feelings, but I can move on. I would not be able to move on if someone was going after my kids or calling me a drunk.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to. So I think that's the difference.
The next segment we'll talk about is Jen's $2,000 dress. You had kind of said that.
Sorry.
Yeah, earlier.
I jumped the gun.
I know. Somebody didn't read the notes for today.
I didn't.
So Jen says that Ryan is the one that bought the dress for her. Obviously, that makes sense. She said that her dress that she had ordered online didn't come in, and he told her to go buy a new one. Even if that didn't happen, I wouldn't care. I mean, of course, Ryan bought it for her.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So Heather admits that it was gossipy that she had looked at the price tag of the dress, and she apologizes to her for it. Even at the reunion, she does, but clearly she did before, too, because she was kind of like, remember, I apologized for this. Like,
I want you all to know.
yes. And Katie says that it was mean girl behavior. And she kind of jumps in here to defend Jen. And I'm wondering if you think that it's mean girl behavior, or is this just kind of Housewives?
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I answered this previously, but
Yes, you
I
did.
will answer it again. Is this mean girl behavior? Yes. Is Housewives a mean show? Yes.
Oh, let me also add another part to that question. Would you do it as well?
Would I
Would you call me? Yeah.
1,000% I'd call you. Be like, this bitch just bought a $2,000 dress. The difference between what's on the show and you and I is that it wouldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
I would tell you, you would tell me, we would talk about it, we'd laugh about it, we'd discuss it, but then that's it. They are filming a show, though.
That was going to be my point as well.
I don't necessarily know if Heather loved that it got out, but it might have been one of those things where production said, we'd like for you to talk about this on camera.
Yeah.
And so they did.
Kind of one of those things where it's like anything and during the time of filming, whether you do it on or off camera, will be like used against you pretty much. Yeah, you had posted on Blue Sky Now that I agree that some things are low and below the belt, but gossiping about a price tag is now too low for Housewives. Was it mean, snarky, and gossipy? Yes, that's what Housewives is. So you had gotten 2 responses back. We'll start with the first one from Coral Way Princess at Blue Sky, who said, I don't know what the fans want these days. We all miss the OG Housewives drama, but find OG Housewives snark unacceptable. Make it make sense.
I agree. I think we used to kind of laugh at all this stuff, and now, because people are so protective over their favorites, they can't laugh at something that's aimed in their direction. And I mean, lots of stuff was thrown at Dorinda, who is my favorite, and lots of stuff was thrown at Luann. But they, like, got over it by the next episode. It didn't even take a season.
No kidding, right? Like, if they're over it, then you should be over it.
Yeah. And I'm over it.
Right.
That's the thing. Like, if something is said to one of them at their expense, I can laugh at that. Because it's funny. If it's funny. You know?
Yeah.
But it just seems like nobody else does that.
And this is what I mean, too, about the too mean thing. It's like, where is the line for being too mean? I just don't know where the goalposts are here, because some things hit and some things don't. Some things are super mean, you know? And I don't know where. It's just based off of your favorite, I guess, and whose direction it's headed towards is the problem.
Do you remember in Real Housewives of Melbourne where Jeaner was talking to Pettifleur, and she's like, I have had enough of your bull fucking shit?
Yes.
I mean, that was like, I looked at that in awe, you know?
Right.
It was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But it was so fascinating.
I
It was
know.
good TV. And I don't necessarily like really, really low blows. I don't like people talking about kids, that sort of thing. But these women are all there and can take care of themselves and can handle themselves. So,
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Melbourne, because I actually thought you were going to go to Sydney when we were talking about, you know, mean moments. And the one that I remember is when Victoria took Athena X, her shawl, and like threw it in the water. She threw it right off the ship.
yes. It literally, to be fair, looked like a net for catching fish.
Yes.
But, oh my God, right?
They had to didn't they have to cancel the show because it was too mean?
Too
They said
mean.
that.
Okay? You guys want too mean? Go back and watch Sydney.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I gotta
so
say,
funny.
that was one of my favorite
It was.
franchises.
I know. It was really good.
Yeah, that moment is insane. But they got really vicious about stuff. I mean, I think Athena called her fat, and
Captain Eyebrows too, right? That was Sydney.
that wasn't that bad.
That was funny though.
But I mean, and then we had the Melbourne reunion where Janet called what's her face fat? Who?
I don't remember.
The one who was friends with Jeaner. I can't think of her name. Who had that weird dog.
Lydia.
Lydia, yes.
The weird dog got it for me. Figaro, that was his name.
Figaro.
It was creepy. That dog looked terrified. She wanted a painting of him, and like he was like shaking the entire time. I'm like, this poor dog doesn't even like you. Like, you gotta just,
So, I mean, you want mean. We can give you mean.
Yes.
Calling out Jen's price tag. Bitchy? Yes.
Yeah.
Snarky? Yes. Gossipy? Yes. Mean? Yeah, but not on the level where
exactly
we need to be focusing on it that much.
Mm-hmm. We also got another post, too, from I'm Watching Bravo at Blue Sky, who said, everyone has gotten extra sensitive about Orange County this season, and I don't get it. We need gossipy, snarky villains, or what are we watching?
Boom. It's literally what we've been saying for the last 5 minutes. There are sweet people, there are middle of the road people, there are villains, there are just snarky, funny people. We have everybody on there, and they all make a show. All of them.
I know. You can't have just all, Jens, unfortunately. Even though we like Jen, that's not what people are going to want to watch. And you can't have all Tamras either.
Right.
So you have to have a mix of both.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. Before we get into the Alexis of it all, the cast break for lunch and Heather goes to talk with Shannon. And I thought this was a great conversation. I don't know if people are going to think Heather's being like an ass kisser or a flip-flopper here. I don't really care. But I like that she went to go talk with Shannon and said, hey, you're doing great. You're handling yourself well out there. And even though we might fight later, we're good.
I liked it too.
Like, isn't that what we want?
Yeah.
Is for them to be fine, like, after these reunions? And it's like, I liked it. I thought it was great. It just was like we don't always have to be on the same side to be friends. Like, I might agree with one person, you don't. That's fine. But we're still good. So Tamra goes to check in on Alexis and says that the best advice she can give Alexis is to not be John's voice. And Alexis is, I guess, not getting what Tamra's saying because it's like, talking to a wall, because Tamra's like, she can't help but not be John's voice. She literally cannot. Tamra was just trying to help her and be like, hey, I think you just need your own, your own thought. Right. Have your own thought.
Right.
And she couldn't do it.
No.
So once Alexis is out there, we get into Shannon and the lawsuit with John. And Shannon is definitely fired up and she's ready to talk. And she asks Alexis, how many times did she practice in the mirror? There's the door, Shannon Bedore, when there was no door, which was absolutely hilarious.
It was really funny.
Emily isn't having it either, which I also find funny because we obviously know why Shannon's pissed. But Emily is almost at the level of Shannon of being irritated with Alexis. Mm-hmm. She just cannot physically stand her. And it's so funny. So...
Well, I think she's irritated because she's just not that bright.
Yes, that's Emily's trigger, I guess I'd say. That's why she kind of has that problem with Jen. She has the problem with Alexis, and it's that's why you got to be fine with both here. She can be annoyed at Jen and it can still be funny, and she can be annoyed at Alexis and it can still be funny.
Right. Just because you love Jen doesn't mean she can't poke at her.
Right.
But she can poke at Alexis.
Right. Yeah. So in the middle of Alexis talking, Shannon starts getting ready to talk about the lawsuit with Jim Bellino. And Andy goes to stop her, is it okay for you to be talking about this, Shannon? And Shannon just kind of whispers, I won. And he laughs and he smiles at her and he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that was funny.
It was funny.
Because he was trying to protect her there.
Yeah. Don't say something stupid that will get you in even more trouble.
Yeah.
If,
and she's like, no, I'm good, I won. And then he was like, oh, okay.
Right. And Alexis just doesn't really know how to explain herself well at all. She's trying to defend the text message that she sent Shannon back in 2018 about this lawsuit. And I'm not sure if it's because Alexis doesn't know how to speak well and Shannon's just fired up and ready and she's got like all of her, notes in her head ready to go. But Alexis says that it was to protect everyone and to just say the truth and back down. So her sending that text message to Shannon was supposed to be just say you're sorry and he won't do it. But then she says, well, Jim was going to sue you anyway. She contradicts herself a lot.
And he sued her right away.
Yes.
Right after that.
Right.
No, it was most definitely the smoking gun that Shannon was talking about.
Yeah.
Alexis she's not just wrong, she looks like a fool here.
She does. She does look like a fool. And this is actually the Shannon that I like. I feel like she's got a bit of like a fire there and she's explaining herself well and she's saying exactly what happened. Because sometimes...
You know why? Because she can't leave.
She can't leave. That's also true.
Literally can't get up.
That's actually a good point. So she has to stay there and be able... And she can do it, too. That's why I don't know why she just doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, if you just stop.
Take 10 seconds.
Yes.
And then make your point. And things would go so much better for her.
Yeah, it would. So she does that here, and I thought she did well. And then, of course, she got a couple of digs in there, too. The one about the "there's the door" quote, but also the episode ends with Shannon just kind of mocking Alexis and calling her a TV star.
Yeah, I think Alexis said something like, I've been on TV for 15 years or something like that. She's like, oh, TV star.
I know.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
Yeah, she just was not having it. So next week is going to be good, too. We're going to wrap up the reunion. And we see the women getting gifts from the NFL. That came out of nowhere. Why? I have no idea why.
There was nothing plugged in the whole season about the NFL, so I didn't get that either.
No, I didn't get it either. Gina's looking in her bag for Taylor Swift tickets, and they're not in there. But... So there was that. Then Shannon and Tamra seemingly have a decent conversation with some crying. So I hope that goes well. I would like them to just be okay,
That's it.
Just okay.
How about just bad?
Or just
let's elevate it from where they are to bad.
Exactly. And then Emily saying every trash can needs a lid and John Jansen found his.
See, you can't tell me Emily's not funny and
I know.
Snarky. Just because it's, directed at the person you don't want it to be directed at.
Exactly.
Then she's mean.
Right.
This, I guarantee you, everybody laughed at.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because you don't like Alexis.
Right.
So it's just, yes, I agree completely. And then Alexis calls Emily Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and Emily says to Alexis that she is the dumbest girl she's ever met. So that'll be next week.
That could possibly be true as well, so...
And that's funny because I think Emily probably thought that it was Jen at the time, and then Alexis came out and was like, nope, I'm going to steal that spot.
Hold my beer.
Exactly.
Let's talk about Real Housewives of Potomac.
Okay.
It was an okay episode. I didn't love it, but I still was interested watching.
Yeah, it was definitely more filler episode vibes for sure.
Yeah. We started out watching Stacy and TJ. Stacy had her boyfriend come over to her craft pad? What did she call it?
Crash pad.
Crash pad.
No, crafts is what they did.
I know, that's why it threw me. I would love a craft pad.
I know, we do crafts. I have no shame to crafts at all. I love doing crafts. But yeah, no, you would think that she would be like, oh yeah, I got this just so that way I could have a place to go when I'm with TJ so we can be alone. And
a love pad.
Right. And that is not what it's used for.
No, it's used for arts and crafts. It's a craft pad.
It's a craft pad.
So they did this kind of painting thing where they painted each other's portraits, and it was all very vanilla, boring,
Yeah, there wasn't really much there.
This is the thing. They have been together over a year, right?
Yeah.
You would think the sexual tension would be like off the charts.
Uh-huh.
And it almost seems like for her,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
He's good.
I know.
He's not interested in the slightest. And you'd think, oh my God, he'd just want to rip her clothes off. You know, I'm waiting, but it's a struggle.
Yeah.
This guy's not struggling.
Well, no, and you would think that it's like, okay, I'm not having sex with you, but I want to grab you, I want to hug you, I want to kiss
Touch
you,
you,
I want to
yes.
touch, like, yeah, anything.
Yeah.
I don't even think he holds her hand. Like, I
He
literally
did not. I noticed. Every couple that went to the party we're talking about later, every couple was holding hands except these two.
Yeah, he's just not interested. I don't know if it's because he found out that she was going to be on here and wanted to get on Potomac as well. I don't know.
Well, he's
something seems
very
off. That's all.
animated when he's talking with other people.
No kidding, right?
So, you know, I would not be surprised if there was some sort of motive there.
Yeah.
So anyway, Jazzy has this party that she throws in honor of her boyfriend who plays for the Kansas City Chiefs, and they won the Super Bowl. So it was kind of a way to celebrate that, but also bring all the women together with their spouses or their partners so that everybody can meet.
Mm-hmm.
So we see them all meeting for the first time, and we see Ink and Mia for the first time on video walking side by side, because usually we're seeing photos of them where
Right.
he's like 3 feet in front of her.
Skewed perspective there.
What's Karen's nickname for him?
DJ Applebox.
DJ Applebox. That is so shady. Oh my God. But a little accurate.
Yeah.
He's a small guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know. I mean, are there worse things than being short? Yeah, a cheater. You know, I was seeing a lot of comments on Blue Sky tonight about Jazzy's mouth saying how short he was and how Kiarna's man was a little shorter than she was expecting.
Yeah.
And a lot of those comments were, yeah, but they're not cheating.
I know, right? Exactly. And speaking of the not cheating as well, I think that you had told me too that a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, he's cheating on you, Jazzy. You shouldn't be with this guy. And it's like, I don't think that he's cheating on her. I think he's cheating with her.
Yes. I actually raised that question on Blue Sky tonight.
Yeah.
Because we had talked about that prior, and I was seeing that as well. And every single person that replied co-signed that. She was the other woman.
100%.
Jazzy was the other woman. She was cheating on this guy who was having another kid with his partner.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's amazing to me that somebody would feel comfortable enough to be like, I'm okay with the ex-girlfriend or wife. I don't actually know if he was married or not, but the partner being pregnant at the time and being like, you know what? I really feel like they're done. I think it's okay. I think the relationship's over. Do you really? It will never be over. I don't know how you would feel comfortable with that you're just okay with that.
Maybe it's his wallet and that he's a professional athlete, you know.
I guess. Even then, though, I still don't know how you would feel.
Totally agree. You know, I mean, when you're looking at red flags, maybe him being with somebody who's actually pregnant with his child when you meet him, you know, or actually pregnant with his child during.
Right.
Not when you met him.
I mean, like, I know that the Chiefs are red, too. All those red flags.
Right.
Like, literally, they're there for you.
Yeah. Oh, God, that's funny. So the women are kind of standing around talking, and Mia brings up in front of Giselle and Karen that Giselle mentioned to her, Karen said she had an opioid problem.
Mm-hmm.
And not problem, I think addiction.
Yes.
Was what she said.
Like that she had to go to rehab for it.
Yes.
Basically.
And this is not the case. Right away, Giselle is like, no, we're not doing this like this. You're all going to sit down here and we're going to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I liked.
Yeah.
So Giselle says to Karen, look, I told Mia what you said. I didn't say it in a way that was gossipy, just like we were told this.
Mm-hmm.
Like confirm or deny type thing. And Mia said she had a C-section and was given prescriptions for it because it was painful. And she became addicted to those.
Yeah.
Now, did she use the word addicted? Because
She
thought
did.
she did.
Yes, she did say that.
And so she overdosed. And after that is what got her into chiropractic medicine. So I will say, I think the impression that Karen gave was very different than what actually happened.
Oh, yeah. Karen tried to mean it as though, like, you were hooked on something for a long time. You've had a struggle for a long time. You had to go to rehab, that you're, all over the place, that you're a mess, basically.
And these sound like they were prescription drugs, too.
Yes.
Which lots of people can get addicted to. It's very easy. Vicodin, all that kind of stuff. But the impression I got...
Percocet, fentanyl. It could be like Creed.
From The Office.
Sorry. Go back. Sorry.
But Karen was really implying like back alley shit, like getting strung out and all this kind of stuff. So it was very different once we heard the story.
And you know what I don't like either too is I thought before, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know, but didn't Mia's mom have an actual issue with that as well?
Oh, she did have a drug problem. I thought wasn't she actually in prison?
I don't know. I thought she had met with her once on the show, and I thought that there was not a great relationship because of that.
I think she went to prison.
Okay.
We got all the facts here for you, people.
If anybody wants to go back and look that up.
I was sort of unprepared.
I know. Sorry. It's because I thought of it as we were talking. If I had thought of it earlier, I would have looked it up, but I didn't.
Yeah, I know they didn't have a very good relationship because of that, and I'm pretty sure that actually happened.
Right. So to throw that in her face, too, it's just like, I don't think she would appreciate that.
Right. And Karen fully admitted it. She's like, you come for me, I'm going to come for you, and I'm going to come low. It's like, whoa. Okay.
Awesome.
So the episode ends with this big conversation with Mia, Inc., and Gordon in Mia's apartment.
Yeah.
And the kids are literally watching TV in the next room. Mm-hmm. And if they're watching TV, I'd be shocked. I mean, their ear probably is at the door. Mm-hmm. And the issue seems to be that Mia wants Gordon to film with the kids, her and Inc., and he does not want that.
Yeah.
Is that the impression you got?
I don't know. I get that could be maybe one of the issues. I sense a lot of issues.
Well, sleeping with his wife's probably an issue. Yeah, but
that might be the biggest one.
Yeah. But I think he's like, I'll be happy to film with the kids and I will film with you. But aside from that, I'm not filming with him. Mm-hmm. I don't want to film with him. I don't like him.
Right.
I want nothing to do with it. And Ink's reply was, look, I don't have an issue with you. And I looked at you and I'm like, what a generous guy. Like, why would you have an issue with Gordon? What did Gordon do to you? Dude, you're sleeping with his wife.
I know. God, dude. Why on earth would you say that? I don't have an issue with you. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thanks for not having an issue with me. God, it was
You're trying to claim the paternity of my son.
I know.
You're sleeping with my wife. We are getting divorced. You apparently had multiple affairs. Gordon was very kind and just said, you've committed adultery more than twice.
Yeah.
Gordon was very well composed, I thought, because he could have went off on him.
I know. Maybe that was because the kids were there. I don't know if
somebody was looking out for the kids.
God, even I'm telling you, I don't know. This whole thing is weird, and I know that Mia has said too that he has his own struggles and things like that. And
The bipolar stuff.
Yeah, which would be very, very hard to deal with. So I get that. And maybe you shouldn't be a couple anymore. That's fine. But I just don't understand why you need to have ink around here. It's a little weird. I don't think... Just figure out your stuff with Gordon here and then, then move on. But just figure that out first.
Well, if they're going to film their real lives and she's with him, then I get it. However, don't film together.
Yeah.
And that's all Gordon's asking. If we're going to do something with the kids, I would like to be the one to film, but I don't want him there. I think that's reasonable. Is that not reasonable? And Ink's like, I want to be there. It's like, no. If Mia wants to film something with Ink, that's fine. Why do you have to do it with the kids? The kids are not his.
I know, and you keep wanting to claim one of them. Knock it off.
Not cool, man.
God. Like, I don't know. I just feel like if you want to get a divorce because you can't stand him, you can't stand Gordon anymore, that's fine. Do that. But why are we still talking about the kid's paternity? Because now you're not only getting rid of the marriage, now you're trying to take one of his kids, basically. Yeah. And it's just like, just let that go. He's been his son for however long. Leave it that way then, because you can't go back now and change that. Not to mention, he looks exactly like him. So I don't really... Like
Gordon.
Yes, like Gordon.
Yes.
So I don't understand where the questions lie.
Maybe she wants him to be, but this is the thing. We see the coming attractions for next week. And in the coming attractions, they're all at Wendy's white party for her birthday. And there's a scene where Mia says, I'm trying to get along with the fathers of my children, or something like that. And it was so intentional. And everybody's like, fathers? Giselle's like, fathers? And again, intentional. You wanted this to come up. You wanted to stir the pot. Why? I don't know. I think it's really gross. I love Mia. I really do. I find her funny and snarky, all of that stuff. I am not loving this.
No.
And so we've seen you do interviews since the season has aired where you have said that Jeremiah is Gordon's. We've seen that. You've said that.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
I don't know. It just seems very unnecessary. And it's just like, I don't think it's needed. I don't think that anybody really in particular wants to see it.
I would agree. I haven't seen anybody that was like, this is really interesting. Let's pursue this. So the last part of the sneak peek was them all praying for Karen as she goes to court. But I looked up any updates, and literally a month ago today, in October, there was a court appearance with her attorney who wanted to get stuff thrown out, saying that there was an illegal search in her car and that she wasn't read her Miranda rights and stuff like that. So this is literally ongoing. So I don't think next week's episode is going to be all that interesting as far as Karen in court. Yeah. Because it might literally just be her being charged.
It could be. That might probably make more sense.
So she's probably hoping at this point it's getting thrown out, and then we know that it wasn't thrown out. So that's probably what it is. But yeah. So overall, good episode. Not great, not terrible, but I like these women. So,
but better than Roni. We can always go.
God. The bar is set at better than Roni.
Thanks for listening to episode 27 of Nice-ish. You can follow us on Blue Sky, Instagram, or Threads at Nice-ish Podcast or at Love Cindy C. You can listen to Nice-ish wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Look for new episodes every Monday. Thank you for listening and have a nice-ish day.